My name is Ron.
And my name is LaShawn.
Welcome back to Marriage Moments. Well, we got a good question that came up, and we're going to go ahead and hit this one good.
All right. Well, the question was, can a person's childhood really affect their marriage and the way that they communicate?
That's a real good one. I know for a fact that it can.
Why do you know that?
Well, there was a man named Jed who took his other family. No, just laying.
I want to tell you about a story about it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it really can. And depending on when you come into the relationship, if you really dealt with it. Because some things, don't usually will come up till after relationship, until you get into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it can have an effect, and it can determine communication. It can determine trust.
Oh, yeah, it can do that. I'm thinking about just where we learn how to communicate. That is in our biological family. We learn how to problem solve or not. We learn how to communicate or not from our biological family. So a person's childhood could definitely affect their ability to communicate and their willingness to communicate. Because like Ron said, trust is a big factor in wanting to communicate with somebody.
Right, and they got to be available and open. And especially if you notice something like in a relationship that they're referring back, to childhood. Like for an example, it could be a trigger, that happens.
Yeah.
We could come in and just start talking, and my story about what happened, how I figured out how I got low self-esteem.
Right.
Who'd ever thought it'd be from a third grade teacher?
Right, embarrassing you. So
Exactly.
embarrassment for you, for what I'm hearing you saying, like embarrassment for you really affects your ability to communicate, and that came from something that happened in your childhood.
Right, which had nothing to do with you.
Right.
But because I didn't know about that childhood effect, and that's why it affected our relationship so much.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that, okay, well, why is it that, I'm too black, or why I'm too this, or why I'm too that, or even trying to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really realize that it was really that. But I mean, it hurt and scarred me so bad. I mean, it was hidden deep down inside. And, just let the person know that sometimes, you got to help that person even draw that out. And, don't be so hard on the person, because sometimes with that really scarring you, they just really need to know on how to deal with it. Like me, I didn't know how to deal with it. But thank God that we had the opportunity yet to discuss afterwards,
Yeah.
About it. And especially the effects and the dynamics of our relationship. That was big and that was very huge because I didn't know, really on how to deal with it. I didn't know how to get in, really get into it. And I know at the same time, it was kind of painful going back to that moment.
So what you're saying, honey, is that like even trying to address where that hurt or that dysfunction comes from can also be painful.
Yeah.
And that will prevent you from really being willing to communicate with your spouse.
Yes, that play a big major difference. Like for an example, there's people who's been raped, there's people who's been abused, there's people who's been hurt. All these type of different things can play a big part in relationships. So that's why it's good, like to have the power of God there to help you.
Absolutely. And that's the key, really seeking the Lord together to uncover the things that need to be uncovered in a time frame which is wise. One of the things that I've realized too, that as much as I thought I knew about my husband and as much as I thought I shared about myself, that some things or childhood issues didn't come up until well into our marriage. I'm talking like 15, 20 years into our marriage, and things are popping up, or barriers to our communication are popping up, even now. And that if we're patient with one another and pray for one another and confess our sins to one another, God is able to open us up. So we want to encourage you, absolutely yes, to the question.
Yes.
Your childhood does affect your communication style and your willingness to communicate involuntarily as well as voluntarily, because we learn from our families. So that's positive and negative. Also, providing an atmosphere in your home, and we've talked about this in several of our videos, providing an atmosphere in your home and in your relationship where it is safe
Yes.
to grow, safe to learn, and safe to express even negative feelings in a safe atmosphere. There's a lot of trauma, like Ron said, that happens in people's lives that they lock away in parts of their mind, and it's not triggered until after something, reminds them of that. So pray for one another. And we wanted to
Yes.
leave you with that today. Don't give up hope, because we all have issues.
Yep.
We all have issues.
And now-
So let's grow together.
Yes. And not only do we have issues, but just take the time and really talk with each other. You know, if you see your spouse acting a certain way, you know, don't judge them too quick. Make the atmosphere safe for him or her, because they need to know they could come. And even for the singles, you know, if you have issues that's in your life and you know it's childhood, please
Deal with it
Yes,
before
deal with it
marriage,
early,
before
yes.
relationships.
because your husband or your wife, well, not husband or wife, your boyfriend or girlfriend can't solve it, but we know the person who can, and that's Jesus.
All right, so pray first, and we're going to be praying for you guys and the person who's sending that question. God bless you, and we love you. Have an amazing week.
Yes, and don't forget to hit us on songsofsolomonri.com.
Or on Facebook at Songs of Solomon Relationship Institute. Peace.
Have an awesome day. Bye.